with training camp being right around the corner for the Chicago Bears, we're going to talk about a few players that could lose their spots to younger players heading into next season. We're also going to talk about Ryan Poles signing 2 of the second-round picks and more. We're going to also dive into the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. First of all, I know we dropped emergency videos on it yesterday, but the Chicago Bears have signed Ozzie Trapillo and Shamar Turner to their rookie scale deals. This is something I covered on at the beginning of yesterday's show, just saying, are there any chances of holdouts, for the Chicago Bears? And even then, I was doubtful that you're going to see any holdout situations. I was aware that, anything's a possibility, but it just seems like where we're going now with the league and where we're going now with second-round picks, they just want more guaranteed money. And that's basically what these deals ended up coming down to around the league, not just with the Chicago Bears, but it is second-round picks wanting more money after, and so that happens, right? That's just the ebbs and flows of the league. Things change. And now I think that teams are going to kind of know now that this is what players are going to be looking for going forward. And you're probably going to see less of this. You're probably going to see more of these contract negotiations get done quicker with second round picks as things go forward, just because, you're only going to do so much, right? So I think that that's what it's all about, and that's perfectly fine. I don't look at it as any negative or anything like that. I know, there's some people that had the sky is falling type mindset when it comes down to it, and I just look at it as it is what it is, right? Like you're gonna have your issues and your hurdles that you need to overcome, and now second round draft picks with their agents, they're just looking at the world of getting more guaranteed money, and I think that that's not necessarily a problem there. But with that said, I want to focus more with training camp opening and being right around the corner. There are a couple of Chicago Bears veterans that I do think are at risk of losing their starting roles during the 2025 season. I'm not saying in training camp, but of course, over the start of the season, some of these could lose them in training camp. The first one is definitely Braxton Jones. I mean, the final year of his rookie contract, coming off an injury with the fractured fibula. I mean, listen, those alone would put him in a situation where his future as a starter is in jeopardy. Just with that said, when you add into the fact that we drafted Ozzie Trapillo in the second round, what he does and what he did in college and as being able to play the left or the right side, you also have Kieran Amagaje going into his second year, a guy that's also been taking some snaps with the starters. This just paints it to a situation where, Braxton is going to have to come into training camp and he's going to have to play extremely well when it comes down to it if he wants to avoid one of these guys taking his starting role. Now, is it going to happen by the start of the season? We'll see. But even if Braxton Jones somehow still wins out the starting left tackle role to start the season off, it doesn't mean that he's in the clear for the rest of the way throughout the season, right? And so, Ben Johnson has made it very clear. They're looking for the best 5 starting offensive linemen that they can get. And that doesn't mean that Braxton is going to be completely phased out. It doesn't mean that he's not going to still have a spot coming off the bench if that ends up happening, but it does mean that, listen, the road is clear. And, Braxton Jones is somebody who came in as a rookie and established himself as a starter. You can't be mad if it happens now to you with Ozzie Trapillo. So, as Braxton recovers from injury and things like that, it's really allowed Ozzie Trapillo and Kieran Amagaje to just turn some heads in camp. But Braxton is going to have an opportunity to turn those same heads himself once he gets geared up and ready to go. So we'll see what the future holds for Braxton Jones at that position. The next one, Tyrique Stevenson. Now, I'm saying this in the sense of not because Tyrique Stevenson is bad, right? I talked about it. I talked about what he's did. He's in the top third of basically every quarterback statistic analytic that you could possibly look at, right? And Tyrique understands too what's happening here. But I think this is the thing, right? Is that when you have guys behind you like Terrell Smith, who almost beat you out for the starting job already, you got new rookie Zay Frazier in there, and you already know that Al Harris, the defensive back coach, has already been very high on Zay Frazier. And Zay Frazier as well fits Dennis Allen's system and being able to do a lot at that safety position as well as being a ball hawk. Again, this is why this list isn't just about players that can lose their starting role in training camp. It's about players that could lose their starting role over the course of the season. And Stevenson cannot afford, under this new coaching staff, to have a Hail Mary situation like he had last year with the Washington Commanders. He can't afford to do that. And so while there's going to be a lot of opportunity, ample opportunity for a lot of cornerbacks to play under Dennis Allen, as he's going to use probably more defensive backs than we've ever seen a Chicago Bears defensive coordinator use, Stevenson has some competition now there for him, and the pending contract situation plays a big part into that as well when you're looking at Tyrique Stevenson's future here in Chicago. So that's just something you have to look out for. Again, this is not to say that Tyrique Stevenson is trash, like some people say. We have a voicemail where Darius asked a specific question on Tyrique Stevenson, and we'll get into that. But it just comes down to, who is behind you. This situation with the Bears and money. They may have to spend money in other places. And I think those things lend itself to, hey, Tyrique Stevenson is going to start off and should be the starting cornerback here on the opposite side of Jaylon Johnson and with Kyler Gordon out there. But that doesn't mean he's going to keep that job. Doesn't mean he's going to still be there at the start of next season. We'll see what Tyrique Stevenson can bring. But some of y'all got to be a little bit easier on Tyrique Stevenson. That's just my personal opinion, though. All right. The next one is DeAndre Swift. I think there's no question that DeAndre Swift is going to be the starting running back to start off the season. That's just my personal opinion on it. I think that what he brings, and already in being a veteran, an improved offensive line, he's going to play much better. I think all those things are going to happen, right? And the Bears did not make a significant move at running back other than bringing in Kyle Monangai. But I think that's where things get a little interesting at. I think when you look at games where Roschon Johnson has had a lot of carries, he's actually performed pretty well. I think he's a better blocker. I think he's better at running between the tackles. And then you do have Kyle Monangai, who, although being a 7th-round pick, this is still a guy that feels like a big threat in what he's able to do with himself in pass blocking, in running between the tackles, in breaking tackles, something that DeAndre Swift doesn't do at a high level usually. All those things play a part into this, is that if DeAndre Swift is not on point this year, does not have a strong season, that, I already think he's probably not going to be the starting running back if the Bears have their way going into next season. But he could very well lose that this season as well, as you got some talented running backs here in that running back room, and it just comes down to who's going to bring it day in and day out. And I think that plays a large part into this as well. And so we'll see how that shakes out for the Bears. We'll see how that shakes out as well for DeAndre Swift. But keep in mind, DeAndre Swift, there's a reason why the Bears were willing to trade up for Travion Henderson. I think that says a lot, right? The Bears are looking for something. They realize they need something in the running back room. Not to say that they're not content in what they have because of the offensive line improvements, but I do think, hey, if Kyle Monangai brings it, if Roschon Johnson stay healthy and bring it, I don't think this is going to be a Bears team that's going to hesitate at moving DeAndre Swift from the starting role to something else, or maybe he just doesn't get the same amount of carries. I don't think that that's going to be something that really hurts the Bears team, and so be on the lookout for that. But I think those are the main guys that you're looking at. Of course, we already know like Ruben Hippolyte, Noah Sewell are battling out. I don't really think anybody's losing a position there. I don't think either of the safeties are at threat of losing the position as long as health is there. But those are the main ones that I'm looking at and thinking you got to watch out if you're these guys. And even with Cole Kmet, I don't think Cole Kmet's at a threat to lose the starting tight end position yet. I think as we go forward, if Colston Loveland ends up being all that in the bag of chips as he shapes up to be, that's we could see that. But we'll see what happens there. But with that said, before we get into the mailbag, I want to get into one more thing when it came down to it. ESPN was doing a ranking in regards to tight end, cornerbacks, I should say. And Jaylon Johnson ranked number 8th in the annual cornerback rankings, voted by 70 NFL coaches, execs, and scouts. And here's the thing. Jaylon Johnson, people are going to hear that and be like, yeah, that's, and I heard it and I thought, yeah, that's cool. Me and Pat, the designer, were talking about, I'm like, no, that's pretty cool when it comes down to it. He did earn votes as high as number 4 when it came down to it. But I think that, his production took a bit of a dip last year. That was mainly due to, some of it was on him as well, but the Bears defense just was down overall, right? When you look at it, he held opposing quarterbacks to 32 receptions on 53 targets and 448 yards and only gave up 2 touchdowns last year. And keep in mind, under Dennis Allen, Jaylon Johnson is about to see a huge uptick in his usage and how he's used, about going all over the field and things like that. And Dennis Allen is going to be really big to see more of Jaylon Johnson. Jaylon Johnson is top 10. There's no longer, it shouldn't be a surprise by anybody. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL and one of the best contracts as well in the NFL when you look at some of the other contracts that are going out to some of these cornerbacks. But this year, at only 26 years old, keep in mind, he's a vet, but he's not old. Jaylon Johnson this could be the best year of Jaylon Johnson's career under Dennis Allen. And I, for one, am very excited to see how Jaylon Johnson gets to work this year under Dennis Allen. But let me know what you guys think on all of that down below. With that said, let's go ahead and move into the mailbag for today, man. This first voicemail that we got, this one is from Marcus.
Yo, this is Marcus. I was listening to the video from yesterday, and it kind of sparked me thinking about something that there's somebody that you guys, and I wholeheartedly agree with, is on the roster bubble. But I did, listening to it made me think about the possibility that, considering what's going on with the second round draft picks, there might be somebody that maybe has a shot at sticking around, and that's Tyler Scott. Up until now, as soon as they drafted Luther Burden, my mind went, Tyler Scott's gone, and you got Olamide Zaccheaus, you got Tyler Scott has been gone in my mind. But with the fact that we have Olamide Zaccheaus, with the fact that to this point, and I'm not even going to pretend to know what direction this may go with the second round draft picks, because it's uncharted territory, but I feel that it is very possible with Olamide Zaccheaus being able to hold down that spot should Luther Burden not, for one, if Luther Burden can even earn it from him, we'll start there. But depending on how long he holds out, that may open up a spot later on for, if Tyler Scott starts to flash or starts to show or look like what he looked like last offseason, because I mean, throughout training camp, throughout preseason, like he was doing well, and then he just disappeared. Like, he just wasn't part of the game plan. If in Luther Burden's absence, Tyler Scott is able to show a little something to Ben Johnson and show something that sparks his interest, now we might have an opportunity for maybe him to jump past a Devin Duvernay or work his way into a fourth or fifth, or even just a gadget player. I mean, we all know Ben Johnson likes his speed. He likes people that he can use in different ways. So, I don't know, something to think about.
Does Tyler Scott have a better chance of sticking around? Well, luckily, the second round picks are starting to sign. Luther Burden has not signed yet, but Ozzie Trapillo, Shamar Turner, those guys have signed already. I don't know if anything helps Tyler Scott. Like, at this point, I just think that Tyler Scott is either he doesn't work here, he's not as good, he hasn't been able to hold on to the ball, or maybe they just have better players ahead of him. I think both Luther Burden and Olamide, however you say his name, are both guys that should be ahead of Tyler Scott. Tyler Scott, if he's going to want to get opportunity for this team and show what he can bring, he's going to have to make the most of every snap that he's out there on the field in training camp and in preseason. He's going to have to make the most of it to really start turning some heads, because it does seem like, for what it's worth, the Bears have moved on from Tyler Scott. He's just still here on the roster. I think in what they did with drafting Luther and signing Olamide and in Devin Duvernay, to me that signified that Tyler Scott, there's something that he's not bringing, or some reason why he's not really in the plans for the Bears anymore. And that's just my personal opinion. I guess we shall see how it's going to work out, though. But we'll see. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Keys.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Keys on this lovely Tuesday afternoon, man. Hope all is well with you and yours. With that being said, let's get to it. So, we winding down on the time, and training camp is approaching us on July 19th. July 22nd is when the vets will report, and I must say I'm excited. I'm excited to see how we progress and what happens, especially with our second-round picks. Hopefully, polls can work something out and get them signed very quickly, because I don't want none of our guys missing time, because it is valuable along with what's going on, and we need to develop and get to the level that we need to get to. So I do anticipate everybody being there. You just never know how it happens. But, I want to know, what do you guys think is the biggest outlook? I think the biggest thing or outlook for the team, to me, is to see how well improved our trench play is with the O-line and D-line, of course. I'm not worried about the linebackers. I'm not worried about our DBs, to tell you the truth. I'm not even worried about our receivers. I'm kind of on fence about the running backs, just to see how we progress with that. But for sure, it all starts up front. And I think the biggest person to outlook and see who's going to take that next leap to me, I want to see what Shamar Stewart does. After he signs his contract, is he going to be that guy where he be that rotational piece where, he just keep getting better and better, and then eventually, as the years go on, he can take that starting spot next to Big Dex. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see what happens with him. I'm also intrigued to know, with the moves that have been made in the league, right? Especially with the Jets, they just signed Garrett Wilson to a big contract, and they just signed Sauce Gardner. Now, Hayes, I don't know how much money the Jets got left, but you know who up for a contract. We need one up here. Well, at least what everybody else says. I'm on the, here and there about Swift. But I wouldn't be too pressed or shocked if the Bears or Ryan Poles make a move for Breece Hall. Here's why. He does everything in the offense that we need. He can run, catch the ball. He will probably be that piece. Very comparable to like when the 49ers got McCaffrey, and it helped their offense grow and get to that next level, and then they eventually made it to the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking, but I'm hoping we make a move if that comes available. But let me know what you guys think. As always, man, shout down up, bear down.
The trenches and the running back room. To answer your question, are the two things that I'm looking at the most. Like the trenches, because we've made really big improvements on paper on the offensive line and the defensive line, right? Adding depth and things like that on the defensive line, getting Grady Jarrett, Diode Ingbo in here, right? Andrew Billings back healthy, getting Shamar Turner, Austin Booker taking a step up. On the offensive side of the ball, we already know, completely rehauling that interior offensive line, having Ozzie Trapillo. Teams that have good trenches performances usually are playoff teams, or at least contending to be playoffs. And then for the running back room, I'm just interested to see how it all shakes out. As a former running back, with that improvement on the offensive line, I just can't wait to see if this running back room performs better than a lot of Bears fans are giving him credit for. Kyle Monangai, of course, is the player that I'm super excited for to see what he's able to do in his opportunities for the Chicago Bears. But those are probably the two position groups that I'm looking forward to the most because of the changes and because of, just to see how it performs with what we have here in that running back room. I think the running back room, if the running backs are able to be at league average or slightly above, right? I'm just talking about slightly 15th, 14th in the NFL, right? If you're able to do that and have that type of running production, that completely, with the weapons that we have in the passing game, that transforms a lot for you. So that's really what I'm looking for the Bears here. Those are the two position groups I'm the most excited to see. Doesn't mean I'm excited to see the wide receiver core. Absolutely. I'm excited to see this defensive back room and how Dennis Allen used them. But those are the two groups that I'm looking at for the most. I guess technically three: offensive trenches, defensive trenches, and the running back room. So, but let me know how you guys feel on that down below. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. I just wanted to run an idea by you, something that I heard. Every now and then I'll catch a clip. The algorithms tend to push me Chicago Bears stuff, so every now and then I hear things from people that I typically don't even listen to. And I heard a guy on there speaking about the usage of Jaylon Johnson this year. And he was saying, I can't remember where he was getting interviewed with, maybe over the radio, 670 or some bullshit. I can't remember, but he was saying that he feels like when it comes to Jaylon Johnson, to have Jaylon follow the number 2 receiver the whole game, and then you scheme with 2 players to stop the number 1 guy. He's saying that's kind of how New England used to do it back in their Super Bowl winning days. That's how Belichick did it. I mean, that's interesting if you feel like you have a really good number 2. But I'll get to that. But I think it's interesting, man. That's all I'm saying. It's interesting. Like, what do y'all feel is the best way to use Jaylon? Like, should we adapt that scheme, or just have Jaylon follow, the number 1 around the field, the whole game? I like that idea too, but man, that's interesting if we can get, either Kyle or Gordon, or Tyrique Stevenson to step up and help out with that number 1 guy, man. That's a really interesting way to use guys in the secondary. And I never really heard of that before. So I just want to know what y'all think about that, man, because we do have the talent on this secondary to accomplish that. I was just wondering if y'all even think that's a good idea or not, because I was kind of intrigued by it, but it also just might be one of those things that's too complex for a new regime to come in and try to implement. But I just thought that was interesting. Also, real quick, I just want to clear up. I don't hate Tyrique Stevenson. Y'all don't let Hayes make y'all feel that way. Okay. What I did say was that he's actually really good in coverage within the first 15 yards, but he struggles downfield. And I think we got the proof on tape to show that. And that's all I'm saying is that I don't want to see him getting beat deep down the field no more. And I need him playing closer to the line and being physical. If you think everything that I'm saying about him is wrong, cool. But let me ask you this: do you feel like he's earned his second contract yet? If the answer to that is no, then I'm justified of saying, hey, bro, you need to step it up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let me know what y'all think. Check this up. Bear down.
I think you should do it all. I think you should do, like, that's a great scheme and a great level of thinking that, like I say, Dennis Allen is very creative. I'm sure that he's thought about that. Using Jaylon to shut down number two, and then you can have two guys be the number one wide out. But I think to keep defenses on their toes, do it all, right? Meaning that maybe you start off the game with Jaylon on the number one. Maybe you started him off on the number two. Then maybe depending on who gets hot and heats up, use Jaylon Johnson and take them out that heater and throw them off their rhythm. I think that you're freed up to do a lot of that now with Jaylon Johnson and with Dennis Allen, especially because you're not keeping Jaylon in just coverage, right? You're using him in more press and man coverage, you're using him in more of those things. I think those are going to be things that really benefit Jaylon and bring his skill set. Like I said in the opening segment, like, Jaylon is going to have an opportunity to really have the best year of his NFL career because of the scheming and because of his ability all kind of matching up right now under Dennis Allen. So I'm really excited to see that. Now, as far as your question on Tyrique Stevenson, I'd say this. Yes, Tyrique Stevenson, through his play, has earned a second contract, but that doesn't mean that he's going to get it, right? I think there are a lot of things that play into getting your second contract. And like I talked about, I think on yesterday's episode, it's about the value. If the Bears are looking at re-signing Tyrique Stevenson after already getting Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon new deals, even though Jalen Johnson's deal is really a reasonable deal, right? It's a still of a deal, to be honest with you. But if you have guys like Terrell Smith, or you got guys like Zay Frazier that step up and look like, hey, they're ready to be starting corners and we can spend that money elsewhere, that means that he may not get the second contract. But I look at Tyrique Stevenson, and to me, not to say that he doesn't still have things he can improve on. He absolutely does, as everybody does. You don't have to be perfect to get a second contract. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying either, Darius, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, he has things that he needs to improve on. He has gaps in his game, but just about every player in the NFL does. So, yeah, Tyrique Stevenson, I wouldn't be mad at him at all if he gets a second contract with the Chicago Bears. All the narrative stuff around the Hail Mary and stuff aside, I wouldn't be mad at that. All right, let's get into the next one, man. This one's from Milton.
Yo, Hayes, Bobby, C-Dub, Big Kev, Steve-O, Cognac Boys, Chicago Bears Central. It's your man, Milton the Dark Knight, calling from Virginia Beach, Virginia, once again on this beautiful Thursday. Hope all is going well with y'all there in the Windy City, Chi-Town. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this call right here. I'm glad that they finally agreed to terms with Ozzie Capillo. I'm glad all the second rounders, like y'all was saying, got signed to their deals. I'm looking forward to great things and seeing what they can prove on the football field, especially for Ozzie. And that's going to definitely be a definite watch thing to keep your eyes on is between him and Braxton Jones. I know Braxton's still healing from that injury that he's dealing with. But other than that, I just wanted to definitely give my props to Ryan Poles and to the Chicago Bears organization for re-ing them up for, I guess I think it's till 2029, if I'm not mistaken. You have to correct me on that. Is he the perfect GM? No, but it's like the second I just saw a lot of the news reports online. They was like, why they signed him? They could have just gotten a better one and everything. But a lot of people fail to realize Ryan Poles, he's real methodical when it comes to stuff. He doesn't let anyone know what the hot hand is until it actually comes out and it's been confirmed. I like what he's done with the deals. We still have draft capital. We're not overspending a lot of money on one player, and we're not getting anything out of it or mortgaging off our draft capital. I'm real impressive with this guy. Yeah, has he fallen short and made his mistakes? Like any other GM? Yes, he has. I'm not going to crucify the guy just yet. I'm just glad that he probably just like, I got to get this right. And then our team has been long suffering for a long time, so I just want to give him props. and the Chicago Bears props for signing him up and everything. But has there been any other word on Luther Burton? I've been working at the post office, delivering this mail out in this heat. I've been out of the loop and everything, so anybody can help me out with that. But anyway, gentlemen, always look forward to hearing the content. Love it as always. And just before I go, one last thing. I don't know if it's just me when I say this, but it's just I noticed there's a strange vibe around with this coaching staff, and especially with Ryan Poles. It's like I'm glad that we got a coach that actually wanted to come here instead of like some of the coaches in years past. It's just like, okay, such and such is the new coach for the Chicago Bears, and then it's just like, okay, you know, the results speak for themselves on the football field. But I'm glad we got a coach that's ready to hit the ground running and prove that Chicago is that powerhouse again. Start Chicago up, Bear down. I'll hit y'all up on the next one. Later.
Bruh, your intro was longer than the intro I use on the show. How many things are you going to say on the intro? Tighten up. There's little jokes there. But Ozzie Trapillo is one of the most interesting players to watch in training camp, and one of the most interesting battles to watch in training camp. Because Ozzie Trapillo, if he wins that starting left tackle job, that not only says a lot about how they view him and what that means for his future, but also he has one of the most important positions then on the Chicago Bears, is making sure he keeps Caleb Williams off his ass. And I think that's a hugely important part of that. So Ozzie Trapillo has a huge, important role in training camp and battle ahead of him. And I think he's going to be ready to live up to it. Now, as far as Ryan Poles getting an extension, here's the thing in the way that I view this, and I say this multiple times all the time, right, is that people like to say, well, what did Ryan Poles do to get an extension? We haven't had a winning season yet. Having a winning season is a result of doing the right things. Yeah, the Bears haven't had a winning season yet, but that doesn't mean that Ryan Poles hasn't done a lot of things that have earned him a contract extension. You said it out. We don't have really any bad long-term contracts on this team. We don't have any dead money. We've maintained draft capital. We haven't given any of that up, really. We've given some draft picks up, of course, to get players, and the Chase Claypool one is a big miss there. But, those are things. Like, Ryan Poles has done a really good job. Now, we need to see the results of the good jobs he's done so far pay off with wins on the football field. That has to be the next step for him over this next contract this contract extension. Get the Bears to be a winning team. You do that, all the questions are answered at that point. So we'll see, at least for then. All right, let's get into this last one, man. This one's from Booker.
Yo, Hayes, what's good, man? This book, man, blessings to you and yours. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today, man. I'm no Bears talk, man. I just wanted to give y'all a shout out, man, and let you know that, man, I really appreciate all the work that all y'all put in, man, even during the off season. You brothers are doing it, man. Y'all making it happen, and I'm proud of y'all, man, and proud to see how far y'all come, and more excited to see how further y'all will go. So, big shout out to you, big shout out to Bobby, to C-Dub, Kev, Steve-O, everybody that's associated. Man, keep doing what y'all do, man, because y'all making it happen. That's all I wanted to say. But other than that, man, have a good weekend. Chicago up, Bear down, and I'm out.
First of all, we appreciate you for all the support. We appreciate everybody for all the support. Us staying daily, even over the preseason, is just because we love this team and we know football, right? Like, there's a lot of podcasts that over the course of an offseason can't really give you much because they don't know football very well. One thing I can say about us, C-Dub, Bobby, Kev, Steve-O, we all know football. We all know our team. We all love this franchise. So it makes it easy to do content even in the offseason. That's why we haven't gone away. Almost 4 years. Every single day for almost 4 years, we've been bringing content. Not a lot of people are bringing that. So we appreciate you. We hope that you guys keep rocking with us, man. But that's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.